Morning, everybody. I think it's about 5 in the morning. So, morning. You're back in this Brewing with Ben. It's fall. I love brewing in the fall. It's nice and cool, makes the garage a lot more tolerable. Today, we are going to be brewing a Brut. It's my first Brut. It's off a kit. I like to do them once in a while when I'm kind of venturing out on a style or beer I haven't tried before. I haven't done a video in a while. I've been doing a ton of double batches on my new 12-gallon system. Works great, but I still have my old kettle doing brew-in-a-bag, so when I'm doing a kit or just a recipe that I don't know quite what it's going to taste like and I don't want 12 gallons of beer, I still do it on my smaller kettle here. So we're going to do that. In doing this kit today, which I still like to do kits, the stuff's already put together for you. Someone's already vetted this recipe and knows it's going to work. So I'm going to do that. It'll be my first Brut today. So here we go. So I'm going to get some good heat on it here. And then now I start my pump. So I have my bottom valve, of course, sucking off the bottom, and I have a whirlpool arm that is about halfway up in my kettle, which allows me to take that hot water from the bottom and go ahead and bring it up to the top. It helps heat everything up a little bit faster. I've already milled my grains. I like to set up the night before and have everything kind of ready to go, so I can just come out and brew in the morning, get some coffee and get after it. So I think I did 11 pounds of 2-row and a pound of cured pills. I'm gonna go ahead and get my water additions ready. They were mashing at 148 degrees. For my hop schedule, we just got a 60-minute charge of Mosaic. Aroma is going to be Mosaic hops for the last 5 minutes. Everything else is Whirlpool and dry hop. Got a bunch of Amarillo, Citro, and Mosaic, so this thing should be tasty. Haven't filmed in a while. I've been super busy, like life, right? Really wanted to get a video of my new 12-gallon setup. I was going to do a video separate just on just the equipment and decisions I made and buying that and why I went routes I did and stuff like that. But also, just a good brew session on it. But coming back to this, love still brewing on this thing. It's my go-to and it's proven. I know exactly where I sit on gravity. It's easier to clean up. And when I'm venturing out into new recipes, just something I've pulled offline I haven't tried yet, and it's like, is this going to taste good? Is this not going to taste good? I don't want 12 gallons of beer. You can give it away to your friends, but I'm still the one that's got a keg or bottle it, so, So my original jump when I was doing extract brewing was I wanted to do a full boil, so I jumped to a larger kettle, ended up picking up this 8-gallon kettle from Walmart. I want to say 130 bucks or something like that. Put my own ports in it, my own thermometer port, my own Whirlpool port, knowing that I was going to jump to doing all grain. This works great. If you were trying to jump from extract to all grain, which really just opens your possibilities of the recipes that you can do, doing brew-in-a-bag in a small kettle, you can actually still do on a stove top. I've done it. I had a small hook in the ceiling, enough to support the weight of the bag while still cooking on my stovetop. Wasn't perfect, but in the situation I was in like a smaller home, it worked. Now I try to brew in the garage because if you've ever had a boil over on the stove, wifey doesn't like that, so I do everything out here now. And this still works, it's proven, like I said. We're coming up on about 140 The mash temp on this is going to be 148, so I'm going to shoot for about 150, 151 with the higher water volume to grain ratio. With doing brew-in-a-bag, I don't need to do that higher strike temp in order to hit my mash temp. But I'm going to do my water additions. Water profile. If you have not looked at your water profile with doing an all grain, you need to do that. You can send in, I think it's $20 with Wort Labs. You can send in your water, see where you sit. You don't know what adjustments that you need to make, not only for pH, but how your beer is going to taste. I use Palmer's Easy Water Calculator. I use it on this for my brew-in-a-bag stuff. I also use it when I do my double batches on my 12-gallon setup. So for this recipe though, I have, this will be 8 grams of gypsum, I have 6 grams of calcium chloride, and this is a lighter colored beer, so I have to do 2 milliliters of lactic acid to get my mash pH back down. So without adjustment, I think I was almost at 5.6. With my acid adjustment, it gets me down to 5.5, which is right in the middle of the range where you want to be. Get that stirred in. And I am operating without a camera person today, so this little choppy or whatever is what it is. I'm going to try to get all the information I can on this brew session out to you guys. So I'm about 151, 152, so go ahead and kill my heat, shut off my valves, get my bag ready to go here. Hold it in place with my trusty cord here. Okay. Oh yeah, we're gonna take some of that out, I think. Okay. Go ahead and get this stirred up, worked around real nice, make sure I don't have any dough balls in it. It's a really thin mash with doing brew-in-a-bag, so I don't worry too much about putting the whole grain bill in there and then just stirring it up. Check my temp here, right at 150. We're gonna let that settle a little bit. I've learned even between this system and even my 12-gallon setup in the cooler, just let it sit about 5 minutes before you start making any heat adjustments. If you need to throw some ice in, or if you need to add heat or anything like that, just give it a couple minutes, let it stabilize. We'll see where this sits. I'm at 149. I'm gonna take that, so we'll go ahead and seal it up here. It's 66 degrees out. I'm not gonna wrap a blanket around this or anything. I'm just gonna roll with it. It should hold temp pretty well out here, so we'll just check on it periodically for the 60-minute mash. Just checking on my temp, I'm at 148, it's holding pretty well. I need to free up some fermenter space for this batch, so I'm kegging 12 gallons of Founders All Day IPA. Should be pretty tasty, I'm looking forward to it, so we'll check back. So I'm halfway through my mash. I'm a little low on temp, I've dropped about 3 degrees, so I'm gonna go ahead and bump it with a little bit of heat. Always give it a good stir and kind of just see where you're at. Make sure that it's not just like a cold spot in the mash. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it. So when doing this, make sure that you just bump it. Keep stirring it so you don't overshoot. Definitely don't leave it, don't walk away. It does not take that long to get your mash temp back up. My very first all grain batch was, well, not a catastrophe, it was drinkable, but I had to give it some heat, and not knowing how long that would take or just not paying attention, I walked away, came back. I want to say I was almost at 170. So of course killed heat, threw a ton of ice cubes in there right away. The beer ended up turning out okay, but you always want to watch your temp. Keep stirring it and just bring it up to where you need to be. I'm at 149. Kill it. It's going to rise a little bit more yet. Seal it back up and finish out the mash. You see I brought it right up to 149 right now. Like I said, it should climb a little bit more too. I should work for what we're going for 148. So we got just a little over 20 minutes for this thing to finish up. I still got 6 gallons of beer to keg, so I'll be back and we'll finish this thing. We're just about at the end of the mash here. I wanted to take a minute real quick. I did not check my mash pH on this batch. Usually you do that about 30 minutes just to see where your mash pH is. Recently had a water test done. Had one done some years back. They were extremely close. Usually every few batches, maybe 3 or 4, I'll check it on this one. I'm not too worried about it. Should come out right where I want it. Got about a minute left on this. Go ahead and open it up and get ready for this next step. We're gonna get the grain bag out of here. Again, my highly technical lifting device. And you gotta have the glamour dish gloves, so you look good when you do this for everybody. Just real careful so I don't let that drop in there, because I do have grains right up to the top edge. Come on, baby. There we are. I'm going to go ahead and start heat on this nice and slow. This is the fun part, rather than not so fun part. A little bit off, so I can move my kettle. And I'm taking this out. I got 2 valves in here and a thermometer probe, so I'm really cautious so I don't tear a hole in the bag. Also, this is pretty heavy, so I don't want the bag to give out. Looks like I'm a little bit off here. Go ahead and let that drain nice. So this is, this is a process to do this. You can do like a cold sparge of this. I've seen people do it in like a 5-gallon bucket. I prefer to like rinse the grains. I usually hit my gravity numbers that I'm looking for, and usually end up coming out about between 75 and 80% brew house efficiency when I'm all done. Some people don't get that with brew-in-a-bag. I've actually been pretty consistent with it. I got a really good grind, and I'm very careful in trying to rinse all my grains and get all the fermentable sugars out of there. It's just really just a trickle off my water here. Just trying to get some fresh water through the grains. I mean, this is basically like a sparge. We're not at sparge temps. Just trying to get all those sugars out of there. This is where the dish gloves come in nice. This is pretty hot yet. Not squeezing the bag. Just kind of moving my grains around, letting that water come out. This is the messiest part for me for doing brew-in-a-bag, but outside of that, it's really pretty straightforward. And again, you can do this on a stovetop in the house. It is challenging. And anything you spill, make sure you have cleaned up before your wife comes downstairs to see it. So I've got my bag, my grains all wrapped up, so that headache's over. Again, that's like kind of the worst part of the whole brew-in-a-bag thing. With rinsing my grains, I'm right up to my mark of 7 gallons, so I don't need to top up. If I was a little short, I would go ahead and once I felt that I've rinsed the grains as much as I wanted, I would just go ahead and top up to my 7-gallon pre-boil mark. If you don't know where that's hitting in your kettle, you can make yourself a measuring stick with an aluminum rod. I got one around here, but this thing I've brewed on enough that I know at the bottom of my rivets is my 7-gallon mark, and that's what I go with. So we're gonna go ahead, and I got my pump going. I got quite a bit of heat on it, and we're gonna get this thing up to boil so we can get our hops in there. All right, while this is coming up to temp, quick note on safety. I have a GFCI outlet for my pump. Electricity and water don't mix, so make sure you're running that off a GFCI outlet. If you don't know how to wire one of those up, you can read a book. I would recommend hiring a licensed electrician, or maybe you have a friend that knows how to do it, that is also an electrician, who likes beer, and you're making beer, so that it'll all work out. Also, I'm brewing in my garage. I have a door open, but obviously there's carbon monoxide being generated. I have a carbon monoxide detector here. Thing's $8. Keep it up on the bench with me. This goes off when it's really low. It's not at dangerous levels by the time it goes off, but just good to have to make sure that you're not running into a situation. If you're brewing in the house, you better have one. Have a carbon monoxide detector. So we're just coming up on boil. She's pretty close, so I'm going to go ahead and kill my pump. Close off my valves. I don't want hops going through my pump right now, basically until I'm ready to whirlpool. So an unwashed pot always boils over, so I am going to just sit right here as it starts to boil, and there it is. Bring my heat down. On my larger boil kettle, I usually just let the pump go and the whirlpool breaks it just fine, and I have a ton of headspace. But this smaller kettle, she's pretty close, so I really got to watch it. So we're there. That's good rolling boil right there. Set my timer up for 60 minutes for my boil edition. First charge is going to be a 1/2 ounce of Mosaic. Love the smell of hops in the morning. And again, I do kind of like doing kits once in a while. They don't really cost more. They're like usually a couple bucks. And everything's already all measured out for you and everything. You just come out and pitch it in. The only thing I do with the kits is just make sure, I like to mill my own grain just so I can determine where my grind is going to be at. Plus I don't want it to get stale if I don't have time to brew it right away after I order it. There it goes, we got a real good boil. I back my heat down, I know right about where I need to be. And now we wait. So while I'm waiting for this this boil to finish here, I'm cleaning up my kegs. I have 6 gallons of wine there for Mama to go ahead and transfer over to another fermenter. And in cleaning one of mine up, my gasket came out of there. So there's a tip, I think it was on Homebrew Talk forum. I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder, but it works. Use a little bit of keg lube, and you can push that that gasket back in there a lot better. So it always goes better with lube. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this out. So keg lube's sterile. You don't keg right now, so this is not going to hurt anything being in the fermenter. Lots of times you'll have your little poppet valves and stuff that are leaking just ever so slightly. What this does, it just allows it to stick just enough that you're able to get it in that little channel without it popping back out on you. And I mean, it'll save you a bunch of time. Let's see there. Done. That's all there is for that. Just keg this. My all day IPA. Tons of Simcoe and Amarillo in this, so let's see what this tastes like. Wow, that's really good. Definitely got that nice dry flavor that the Founders has. It should turn out nice. We'll see how it settles out, and maybe I'll do a tasting note if I do a video in time on the next one. Obviously, after the mash, it's just like an extract brew. You're going to do your hop additions, your boil, go to the fermenter, etc. But there are things that, if you don't want to jump to all grain, you can have a potentially better quality of beer by jumping to a full volume boil in the single kettle and adding things like a whirlpool hop addition. If you haven't done that and you like IPAs, it's a great way to get those hop oils out and really improve the quality of your beer. You can do that with still doing extract. There's nothing wrong with extract. It's just doing all grain, you can go down those other roads and recipes and stuff that you may not be able to do with an extract brew. Just coming up on 15 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and do our wort flock addition. Stir it in nice. Right at 5 minutes. I go ahead and do my half ounce mosaic for my 5-minute addition. And I have prepped my whirlpool hops. Get this stirred in. I'm probably going to go ahead and drop in my chiller so that can sanitize. We'll let that sit in there and sanitize to finish out the boil. And we'll start crashing. Coming up on the end of boil. I'm going to go ahead and kill the heat. My camera person is still in bed. My daughter Allison, usually she helps me out with this stuff. So hopefully I'm getting good shots here. If I dip out of the screen and come back, it's going to be what it's going to be. Sanitize my lid, and I can start turn on my chill water here. I can start my pump to go ahead, and the whirlpool not only helps with moving the water around a kettle around the immersion chiller to help chill things faster, but it's going to do my whirlpool hops. So I want to get it down to about 170, which is the optimal temp in order to do whirlpool hop additions. My boil is done, so I'm running my pump, but I'm not going to let it flow so much that it's aerating anything. I don't want to end up with an off flavor, so just enough to get some circulation. This part actually goes pretty quick. To get it down to 170. I'm already at 180. This is on groundwater, which is probably about 60-65 degrees right now. 175. That is right at 170. I'll go ahead and add my whirlpool addition, which is an ounce of mosaic, ounce of Amarillo, and an ounce of Citra. It's going to be tasty. Okay. We're holding at about 169, so I'm going to go ahead and start my timer for 15 minutes. So you see it's just enough to move it around, but I'm not getting crazy with it. I'm about halfway through my whirlpool addition here. Pump's running away. See, I am, what is that? About 162 or so. So either I run out of time or I hit about 160. I will call it and go ahead and start chilling. About 3 minutes left of the whirlpool here. See, I'm just dipping below 160. I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I'm going to go ahead and crash this. Open my water back up all the way. I'll go ahead and open my pump wide open. I'll go ahead and take my gravity reading now. Got my sanitized spoon. This is an auto temp, so I'm just going to let it sit and stabilize for a minute here, and we'll see where we came out on this. £11 of grain. We were supposed to come out at 1.053. I had an extra pound of grain. We came in at 1.055, so pretty good. Coming up on 110. We'll see where the groundwater takes us on this. I usually like to pitch just below kind of where I want to ferment it. This will be a 1056 Y yeast, so usually like it to be around 70, so I'll chill it to 68. If I can't hit those temps with my groundwater, I'll get it as close as I can, and then I'll break out the aquarium pump and get it the rest of the way with an ice bath. So I'm at about 78. This is stalled pretty hard now. Comes down to difference of potential, the groundwater, and how fast it's going to cool. I could maybe wait it out, but I'm just going to go ahead and do the ice bath. So we'll get this going. I don't need to go far, so I'm not going to go buy a bag of ice or anything like that. This will be enough to get it down. I'm not going to completely empty my wife's ice container because she really doesn't like that. What are we going to do? 3 cubes? I don't get yelled at. That looks good. We'll roll with that. You can freeze blocks and everything like that, but it comes down to surface area. Really, ice cubes is what you need. If it's really hot out, I will run to the store and get a bag of ice and keep it in the cooler and prep for chilling. My aquarium pump. Just a adapter to for my hose off my chiller. So now the input to my chiller is going to come off my aquarium pump. I need to fill this up with water. I'm not going to get crazy on this. I'm just going to cover the pump up. I don't have a whole lot of ice in it. And this is just to get those last couple degrees. My pump's immersed. Pull the output of this. Nice one to snag your knee on. So now this is just going to recirculate in this ice bath. It should be enough to take it down those last couple degrees. This also works really well if you're trying to conserve water. See, I go off the same power strip from my GFCI outlet too. Go ahead and let that run. About 71 right now. Got some ice in there, we're going to let it go. I'm going to go ahead and start sanitizing things, my fermenter, my oxygen wand, diffuser stone, and then I picked up a separate hose that with no fitting on the end just for my fermenter. See, we're right about 68 or so. We're all set up. We're going to go ahead and pump this over the fermenter. Love this pump. Trying to carry around 6 gallons, or in my 12-gallon system, what, 12 and a half, 13, something like that I think I end up with post-boil. It's a good pump. It's a good pump. So with doing the whirlpool with the pump as well, and then having an immersion chiller in there, it kind of cones the hops in the middle of the kettle. And I don't want to pull from that if possible. I want to keep that out of my fermenter. So the setting on this, I'm about halfway on the valve on this. I'm not trying to suck any of those hops through. I just want to just drain the wort out of my kettle. Just nice and easy. That smells good. This is going to be a tasty one. That's it. So we're going to go ahead and add our yeast. Already sanitize the top of the bottle. This is washed yeast, so I definitely need to oxygenate it. And with this, pure oxygen, 30 to 45 seconds with the diffuser stone, and be all set. All done. Fermentation lock on there. And that's it. Of course, I forgot to add my enzyme, so we got to do that yet. This is marked as ultra firm, which on the back, ultra firm is supposed to be added beginning of mashing, which is interesting because the instructions say to add to the fermenter along with your yeast. Well, obviously mash is done, so we're just going to drop this in the fermenter and hope for the best. Not sure, this is my first brut, so we'll see what it does. We'll know with how dry it tastes. I have tasted a brut, I just haven't brewed one. Even if this doesn't work for some reason, just by the recipe, it's still going to be really drinkable, so I'm not as worried about it. It'll just be a really nice IPA. But, so here we go. Guess we'll see what that does. And that's it. So today, you're brewing with Ben. We did a Brut IPA, my first. We got the enzyme in there last minute. Went through all the steps, all the processes of what my brew-in-a-bag session looks like. And thanks for watching. So I've already mashed my, I've already milled my grains. I like to do my setup the night before so I'm ready and fresh. I've already grilled my, just checking on my temps. I'm right at 148 right now. In order to accommodate this batch, I need to free up some fermenter space. So kegging 12 gallons of Founders New Founders shit.
Siri, stop. Do something.
Cluster. Okay. Do not let go. Go ahead and let my pump handle it, but you know, again, things that you can do that's gonna help your beer taste better or have better quality. Man. Ooh, that's hot. Start getting everything and not gouge my eyeball out. Yeah. Or note on safety again. Yeah, that was a good one, Ben. 10 gallons. Shit. I really need one of those fancy intros too. It's like all the rave now on everybody's channel and stuff.